Good morning, all. Now we are going to discuss about the DBMS. So we are in previous classes we have discussed about the basics of database systems. So now we are going to explain about what is database management system. So DBMS, this is the definition for DBMS. A DBMS is a software system that enables user to define, create, maintain and control overall access to the database. And it is a software, it can also interact with user, that which means end user application programs and the database. It's simply nothing but it's an interface between the end user application program and the database. So it's like a software. Example. So this is the creation of records. For example, it contains a number of rows and columns. So it contains roll number and then CGPA. So that if we want to insert or delete or update, so we can create or delete or update through data through queries. So this is the insertion of records. If you want to insert the additional roll number like 19BC is not 1 and the CGPA is 10. So we can able to insert the record. If you want to update any data inside the record, so we can able to update the record. So database application programs, which means a computer program which interacts with the database by issuing an appropriate request to the DBMS. For example, Yahoo or Gmail, which can be able to storing and retrieving the data easily. In our college, we can able to retrieve the marks by using the CMSs, software CMSs. Advantages of DBMS. We can able to control the data redundancy, which means duplications we can avoid, and data consistency, so that all the inconsistencies of data will be removed. Sharing of data, improved data integrity, improved security, and economy of scales. These are all the various advantages of DBMS. Even though it has so many advantages, it having some disadvantages also. So what are all they? So complexity, the during the designing of software, and size, the more size of the software, which may able to increase the complexities of the software. And cost of the DBMS, which means more costly, and additional hardware cost may be included, and cost of conversions may occur, and performance may be degraded due to some um, issues, and greater impact of failure. So these are all the drawbacks of databases. And what is the difference between file system and DBMS? So file management system and DBMS. So file system is a general, and we can able to use the system in a easy way. So we can able to store the general files which requires a less security and constraints, whereas in DBMS, which is used to in DBMS, we can able to use as the applications in which security constraints are high. And data redundancy is more in file management, and data redundancy is less in DBMS. Inconsistency is more in file system, inconsistency is less in DBMS. Centralization is hard to get when it comes to file management system, and we can easily achieve this centralizations in DBMS. So these are all the some more differentiates between file management and DBMS. So you can locate the physical address of the file to access the data file management system. In DBMS, user is unaware of where the physical address is stored. And security is low in file management and security is high in DBMS. So file management system stores unstructured data, which means an isolated data files or entities will be there. And in DBMS, which stores the structured data, which means that all the data is in the form of rows and columns. For example, tables. So which will well-defined constraints and interrelations will be done. So these are all the, what are all the queries we have used in this DBMS. So these are all the facilities where the DBMS will be provided for our end users. First one is DDL. These are all the languages. So data definition language, DML means data manipulation language, and DCL means data control language, and final is data transaction control language. So we can discuss by one by one. So this is the SQL command, and which can be categorized into DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, and DQL also, which means data query language is also there. In that, the select command will be performed. So what are all the commands will be used for the languages? First one, DDL. So it consists of SQL commands which can be used to define the DB schema and which is used to create and modify the structure of the database objects in the databases. And it allows the database objects such as schema or domain tables, views and indexes to be created, and also we can able to destroy those data. So finally, DDL, which means data definition language, changes the structure of the table. For example, creating a table, deleting a table, and we can able to altering or updating whatever it may be. And all the commands are auto committed, which means it permanently save all the changes in the databases. So these are all the 5 DDL commands in SQL: create, drop, alter, truncate, and rename. And next one is DML, which means managing the data, how the DML statements are used for managing the data in databases. Through DML statements or DML commands, we can be able to managing the data. So DML commands are not auto-committed, and which means the changes made by DML commands are not permanent to the databases, so that we can able to roll back all the changes. So these are all the commands we have used in DML, which means select, insert, update, and delete. If you want to select some particular query in the databases, we can use the select statements, which can be DQL. And insert, if you want to insert some data into that table, we can use the insert query. And update, which means to update the if you want to perform some changes in the table, we can use this update command. And delete, to delete the data from the table. Data control language. If you want to use some grant or some authority based commands, we can use for this data control language. What is grant and revoke? Grant means it is used to give user access privileges to a particular databases. Revoke means it is used to take back the permissions from the end user. Transaction control language, which means all the DML commands like insert, delete, update will be uses only for transactions, but here are the commands that comes under the only TCL. What are all they? Commit, rollback, and then save point. Commit means which is used to save all the transactions to the databases. Rollback means it is used to undo the transactions we have not already saved to the databases. So save point is used to roll the transaction back to a certain point without rolling back any transaction. So these are all the very important commands, which means commit, roll back, and then save points. So these are all the 3 main important commands in TCL. Why data model? Next concept is, so schema based data requirements of an organization. So for every organization, there will be a required some schema. So if you want to build some schema, the data model will be used. So schema represents a blueprint of how the databases is constructed, and data model, which means a higher level of description of the data. So data model, an integrated collection of concepts for describing and manipulating the data and relationship between the data and constraints on the data in a particular organizations. It's an overall collection of describing and manipulating the data and what is the relationship between the data. Data model contains the 3 components. One is structural part, manipulative part, and set of some integrity constraints. What is structural part? It consists of set of rules in according to the databases which are able to be constructed, and manipulative part defines the types of operations which are allowed on the data. Set of integrity constraints which verifies the data accuracy. What is the purpose of data models? So to represent the data and to make the data understandable. And if it does this, it can be very easily used to design a particular databases. So these are all the various categories of data model, which means object-based, record-based, physical data models, relational data model, network data model, and hierarchical data model. What is object-based data model? So we can use the concepts such as entities, attributes, and relationships. So we can able to use this object-based, so that we can able to use a ER and semantic, functional, and object-oriented. Next one is the simple example for library management system ER diagram. So here we can use the books, publisher, member or the entities, and published by and borrow by or the relationship. And we can able to use attributes for various entities like books, publisher, and then member. So entities can be represented as rectangle and diamond shaped called relationship, and the oval shaped are called as attributes. And then record based data models. What is record based data models? So the database consists of number of fixed formats records, possibly different types. So each record type defines a fixed number of fields and typically of fixed length. Relational models, so we can able to say like it's like a table. So data and relationships are represented as table, and each table has a number of columns with a unique name. This is the branch and this is the stuff. This is what called as relational database. So all the data are in the form of rows and columns. Network data model. So what it is network data model? It's a collection of records and relationships which can be represented by sets. We can also say like records are organized in a generalized graph oriented or graph structures. So in which the records appearing as nodes and sets as edges in the graph. So it includes only nodes and edges. So that it is called network data model. This is called network data model example. So these records are called the nodes and the connecting points are called as edges. So that n number of data records will be used. Hierarchical model example. For example, it's like a family tree. So parents child relationship. So that's why it can be from parent the child classes will be defined, and from child a number of another child classes will be developed. So like it's a hierarchical structure. That's what called as hierarchical models. We can develop split into from top to bottom. This is what called as hierarchical model. Physical data model, which means describe how the data is stored inside the computer. Types we can say like unifying models and then frame memory. So from this we'll stop here. We'll discuss about the other concepts in next class. Thank you all.